There's all kinds of things that weren't even contemplated when the first cell phone ban went into place in the state. So we're going to have to keep, evaluating these things. But again, it's about sort of being flexible and also taking into account that we really want kids to pay attention in classrooms.
That's Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday after signing the bell-to-bell cell phone ban in Illinois. And Illinois joins a majority of the country that have some kind of cell phone prohibition in place. Welcome back to the States. I'm Greg Bishop. Now, some states have bell-to-bell bans in classrooms, including Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Texas, Virginia, and Wisconsin. Other states have district guidelines or recommendations, like Minnesota and Washington. In Illinois, State Senator Christina Castro, who sponsored the cell phone ban in schools, she laid out the various particulars of Illinois' bill.
K through middle school, there's a bell-to-bell ban, right? So meaning from the minute the kids get into the schools, however the school district does it, U46 obviously does the pouches, they put them in a pouch. Their job is to focus from bell to bell. The reason we made the difference in high school is because you have a lot of students who do dual, like in this district, do credit, sometimes go part of the day and then go to work. So, and also you're giving them a little bit more responsibility. So a district can go ahead and give that exception for lunch and passing period for them to have access to their phones.
Now, the Center Square Illinois reporter Sean Reed reports many specifics on how bans will be enforced are left up to local school boards in Illinois, which have a full school year until they must adopt a policy that fits within the law's minimum requirements. Now, the bill didn't specifically spell out how school districts will pay for implementing the ban, which has been common in other states for products like magnetic locking bags to secure phones throughout the day. Now, Pritzker and multiple lawmakers, they highlighted that legislation was unique to other states. However, noting community involvement in tailoring a phone policy. For the pouches that Castro mentioned, it would cost local taxpayers across the state a total of $47 million in Illinois to buy a pouch and associated locking mechanisms for every public school student at the rate the district paid. Now, in February, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed into law a bill banning K-12 students from using smartphones during the school day. House Bill 4141, which failed to pass last summer, it passed the House and Senate overwhelmingly at the beginning of the year. A Wisconsin bill would ban student cell phones used throughout the school day, expanding on a previous law that requires all school districts to approve a plan to prohibit cell phones during instructional time by July 1st, but that measure failed on concurrence. In Pennsylvania, there was an attempt in the state house. State Representative Russ Diamond, he pushed for that cell phone ban.
Does a cell phone in a kid's hand serve the needs of a commonwealth when they're in school? No, it does not. Does a cell phone in a kid's hand make our public education system efficient? No, it does not. Does a cell phone in a kid's hand make our public education system thorough? In some limited cases, and they're accepted out by this bill, a cell phone might make it more thorough for a kid. But I would argue, even in those cases, Madam Speaker, a more task-oriented, dedicated device would be better than a cell phone.
But not everyone was on board. The Pennsylvania House chamber was split, even among the parties. State Representative Greg Vitale, he said he talked to his local school districts, and they had issues with that proposal.
My school district, for example, its policy is not to prohibit cell phones for the entire day on the entire school grounds, but rather to prohibit cell phones during instructional times. That's a choice they've made. That's because they feel that's best for this suburban middle-class school district. Other school districts can make different choices, and we all could change those choices as circumstances and experience dictate. But to have this one-size-fits-all, this, talking point popular policy. It may be popular, but it's the wrong decision from a policy perspective.
Now, that measure was approved by the Pennsylvania House and sent to the Senate, but that chamber already had passed a cell phone school ban. But the bill's language was much different than what was contained in the House bill. As for other technologies outside of cell phones, Florida parents will have the choice to opt their children in or out of using artificial intelligence instructional tools in classroom settings under a new rule being considered by the Florida Department of Education. The proposed changes to the internet safety policy would set minimum requirements for school districts to adopt regarding the use of AI for educational purposes. And in New York, Governor Kathy Hochul is putting social media companies on notice that new regulations limiting teens' access to addictive features on their platforms are now in effect. Speaking to reporters this week in New York City, Hochul said her administration's planning to crack down on Meta, Instagram, and other social media giants as she rolled out final regulations to enforce New York's Stop Addictive Feeds Exploitation or KIDS Act, which was signed by the governor more than 2 years ago. That law prohibits social media platforms from providing addictive algorithm feeds to people under the age of 18 without parental consent. It also bans companies from sending notifications to minors between midnight and 6 a.m. without parental consent. So what do you think? Should schools prohibit students from using cell phones and other technology during school hours? Or do you think it should be a case-by-case and district-by-district case? Well, leave a comment below.